Hi everyone, hope you're all doing well. Live Q&A session. So if you guys have any questions, stick them down. We're not doing a live Q&A session for a good few weeks. I think it's probably been about 3 weeks maybe since we've done a Q&A session because I think we've covered some portfolio reviews, we've done the portfolio reviews, some earnings reviews. We've covered a lot of the like Motley Fool picks and my Wall Street picks, which we're actually probably due the one for February sometime soon. I think that'll probably be next week we do that video. So yeah, it's been a while since we've had a Q&A, and normally we do the Q&As at a 10 a.m. normally on a Tuesday, and obviously we're still on Tuesday, but obviously 7 p.m. So I'm thinking this might suit a few people that can't normally make the live Q&As as well. So maybe a few people that can't normally make it can make it now. So hopefully the turnout's a bit better potentially than normal, but the turnout's normally pretty decent. But obviously with a later time, hopefully it suits a few people that can't normally make it. And yeah, we'll just get through as many Q&A session, as many questions as we can. I'll try to give a minute or two on any questions, and yeah, we'll see how many we get in. We'll go for half an hour, and we'll probably call it time there. Otherwise, it just gets a bit too long, I guess. And sometimes people join the Q&A session like 20 minutes after it starts and ask like questions that were answered in the first minute. So I think by that point you end up repeating a few questions as well. So yeah, so we'll do that. So yeah, any questions you guys have, fire them away, and we'll get started. So Alec makes his first question appearance as he normally does, even when it's Tuesday 10 a.m. or if it's Tuesday 7 p.m. He still makes it first. Look at that for dedication. Question: looking at your crystal ball, I'll get it out for you. What do you think the outlook will be for the markets in general in 2022? Yeah, I think I mentioned it on yesterday's video. That I think for me personally, I look a lot of the small caps. As long as the small caps put in good growth and there's no recession, I think we'll have a very good year for the small caps. Don't forget, obviously we are only 2 months into the start of 2022. There's still 10 months left, so a turnaround is very much possible. We've only just started here, and how quick we have kind of dropped off at the moment. We have seen valuations go even lower. So I think for small caps, like a lot of the small caps are historic low valuations, and they are still growing massively well. I mean, we've got HIM's earnings tonight, so I'm looking forward to that one. Yeah, it's tonight, isn't it? HIM's earnings, yeah. So I'm looking forward to that one. But yeah, small caps in general are just so sold off. Like the lowest value. We're not even with a lot of small caps here. We're not talking about valuations where they're like, okay, this is like the normal like average valuation, or this is quite a low valuation for this company. A lot of these companies are at historic low valuations. Like Gang, for example, when Gang came onto the stock market from the UK to the US that I talked about today, it came onto the US stock market at 250 million. I mean, what's it valued at now? It's valued at 262 million. And what has happened in that time? It's, losing a little bit more money because it's invested to kind of gain all the clients and put everything in place to kind of take on them clients. But, and eventually that will come back to revenue within the next kind of couple of months now. It's got the rewards for that. And the rewards is that the revenue has gone from doing like 29 million to it's probably going to do about 135 million this year. So, the revenue has increased an absolutely huge amount, and there's zero reflection in the share price. That's the big thing. So, yeah, for small caps, I think small caps are just so cheap valuations that I believe small caps will have a good year. I believe a lot of the small cap stocks will be higher than where they were coming into the year by the end of the year. And that applies for most of them. The likes of Corsair, for example, even DraftKings, I would expect DraftKings to be higher than where it is right now by the end of the year. And I don't like making short-term predictions because anything can happen. But that if you push me for it, that's what I think massively. With the large tech or big tech, I always thought they were a little bit more questionable because they were a bit more of like big evaluations. But the way that some of the big techs have gone down over the last period of a couple of months, likes of Facebook and PayPal, Facebook's at the point of view where like even if it grows worst case scenario, 10% a year, right? Facebook at the moment's at good valuations. If Facebook grows 10% a year, at the moment the valuation that Facebook's at, it's actually pretty good. And then you think, okay, if it's not worst case scenario and actually Facebook goes back to like 15-20% growth, Facebook's massively undervalued at these prices. And it's the same for like PayPal, for example. So I used to be like really bullish on small caps and 50-50 on big tech, but even big tech's getting to the point of view now where I'm actually like, even big tech's like could have a decent 2022. I still think small caps are massively the big ones undervalued, but even big tech now I think is getting very quickly back to very decent valuations. My questions have moved down there. Got Anthony joining, Mesmer joining. Charlie asked a question saying like the evening Q&As always at work at 10 a.m. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping, is that a few people that can't normally join it. I'm off work at the moment. It's 10:30 for me, so I'm not working at the moment. And I think a few people obviously generally obviously work during the day and can't make the 10 a.m. Q&A session. So yeah, I think it could suit a few people just doing it at a different time every so often. If you had, let's say, 500 to invest right now, would you go HIMS or PayPal? I mean, ideally, I wouldn't want to just buy one stock. I ideally want to kind of try build, a diverse portfolio, invest in other stocks rather than just one in particular. But if you're pushing me, I mean, it's a tough question because HIMS has a lot more upside. HIMS at these valuations and the growth that it's putting in, I can see HIMS coming I invest in every company hoping for it to double up my return in a 5-year period. That's my aim. And generally with a few stocks, I hope that will happen probably more. HIMS being one of them. With HIMS, I would expect to make more than double my money on HIMS in the next 5 years. I think HIMS could easily from here go 3, 4, 5x, potentially even more than that. I would be disappointed if I would only got 100% return from HIMS in the next 5 years. And that's the big thing with HIMS. Like there's a little bit more risk to it because it is higher growth. It will have the volatility. There's more things that can go wrong with HIMS right now. It's in such a more developing competitive market. So HIMS has a lot of potential upside, but there is that slightly more risk with HIMS. PayPal doesn't have that risk. It's a developed company. It has the products well developed. It's steadily putting in the profit. It's putting in revenue. But is PayPal ever going to return what HIMS can do? No chance. PayPal could double up in the next 5 years for sure. HIMS more than likely will double. There's that little bit more risk there, and there's probably that potential that you could actually even do more than double up. So it all comes down to risk to reward. Like, do you want to have that little bit more risk and that potential for a bit more reward? Then you want to go HIMS. If you want to kind of go, I don't want that much risk, and I want to play it a little bit safer, go for the bit more of a guaranteed return, but that return is more likely to be limited, then you go for PayPal. So, it's a tricky one to ask. Like at the moment for me, HIMS is my bigger position. PayPal is my smaller position. But the big thing for me is that I'm generally looking at PayPal thinking PayPal is a fantastic company that doesn't normally have 50% drops, that is at the cheapest valuation it's ever been at, and is pretty much a guaranteed safer return. I can see PayPal coming probably one of my bigger positions, hopefully in the next few months if I can continue to buy it. So yeah, it's a tricky one to answer. I think HIMS will perform better, for sure. But PayPal's a great, solid company. And it doesn't normally dip. So it's a tricky one. Is Boohoo easy money? I would like to say so. Yes. At the moment they're priced at absolute awful valuation that they're never going to recover from the logistic issue. Yeah, I think that as long as they grow what they're growing and this logistic issue is contained or recovers even slightly, Boohoo is priced so negatively at the moment. I do think even to get to £2, £3, it should do that. So yeah, I potentially would say that yes. Thoughts on unlisted downgrades for DraftKings? Yeah, I think I saw this today that apparently DraftKings got downgraded or something. I think that's why it was down in pre-market, but I believe it's up today. Let me just check that. Yeah, DraftKings is up 3.5% today. So yeah, it doesn't really mean too much. Analysts, I'm on the wrong one here. Where am I on? There we go. Analysts, just generally, that's what they do, is they play catch up. They are predicting where the share price will be in 12 months, and more than likely, a lot of these analysts will have price tags on DraftKings of, $60, $70, and now it's down at, $19 or whatever it's at. Was it $17? Like, a lot of these analysts are going, well, it's not going to get back to $60 in the next 12 months. We have to downgrade it. Let's downgrade it to roughly where it is right now. So it's just a bit of catch up. Analysts generally are very slow at where the price goes. They try and stay in a rough range, and they're probably just playing a bit of catch up, because obviously over the last 3-4 months it's lost from $60 down to $17. So they're playing catch up. The same would happen very much if DraftKings went from $17 now to $35 or something like that. If it went up there, then you'd see a lot of analysts slowly start increasing the price targets from $17, $20 up to $35. It's just analyst price targets are pretty much useless, because they will pretty much follow where the share price is going, and in fact they're probably a couple of weeks behind where it's actually gone to. So yeah. Alex says, question, your channel has survived the recent market turmoil, others have dwindled. What do you think is different about your group? I think that's in terms of I think you mean in terms of channels have kind of given up or stopped posting and stuff like that with what's going on. And I mean, I think that's the big thing is I think what you saw basically in March 2020 is people were stuck at home, thought, what can I do? Oh, I'll get invested into stocks. And then I think a few of them people went, what else can I do? Well, I'll make a channel talking about these stocks. So I think what you saw basically in the last 2 years is a lot of YouTube channels that basically popped up that had basically started, investing themselves in the last 2 years and talking about stocks. And now that we have had a stock market period of the last, you could argue 12 months, but especially the last 4 months has been very, very ugly, that now we're actually starting to hit a bit of a negative market. People are questioning themselves, questioning decision making, and obviously the sentiment out there changes so fast. When the stocks are going up, everyone treats you as a little bit of a genius and everything like that, and then as soon as stocks start going down, everyone kind of looks at you and go, oh, what are you doing? This is down, and people generally just react off stock information, off what the prices are doing at the moment. When boohoo was up at £4, I didn't see anyone complaining about boohoo. Now boohoo's down at £1. Apparently now it's the worst stock ever. And what's changed? Has anything changed in the business? No. What's changed is the share price, and people generally will reflect off investments and stocks you talk about off current share prices rather than where them share prices will be. And I think that because there's a lot more negativity out there, I think that for a lot of people that are new to this game have kind of struggled with that mentality of actually having a bit of a time period where stocks don't do that well. And them themselves are looking at their investments and going, oh, I'm not sure if I want to buy this. Why did I buy this? I'm not sure on this investment anymore. And they're even questioning themselves. And then it doesn't help that a few people have kind of, gone into the public eye. And now in the public eye, there's a few people, because of the negativity out there, are getting their stocks questioned, and with the pressure of obviously seeing going through that first time of going through a negative market, and then the combination of having that pressure as well is that people at you every day going, oh, this stock's down, you were talking about this stock and now it's down this much, which unfortunately happens. I've kind of gone, oh, it's not worth it anymore. I'm not going to do this anymore. And, for me personally, I think that because maybe that I've always talked about the businesses and not potentially the share price and where I see it in the long term. And I've always had that long vision goal. And for me personally, it's not like the first major dip that I've been through. I've kind of got that confidence of that I've been through this before. I've been down plenty of times on stocks, 30, 40, 50%. And for me personally, I've seen the outcomes. I've seen the benefit of, holding through the dips, buying through the dips, and seeing it work out on the other side. And I think other people haven't had that. For me, I've been through it, and I've seen the reward. So something like this dip that we're going on at the moment, for me, isn't a big deal, because I've been through this before, and I'll go through it again many other times. Past this time, through this time here, I'll see the stocks recover and do well, and then once again I'll go through the cycle again, and I'll have stocks that go down. It's part of the game, and I've been through it, and I think that um kind of comes across. I think really, well, I hope it does, and maybe that's the ultimate reason why, I guess. So yeah, we've got Ryan joining us. Charlie has a question about best number one buy right now at current valuations. Oh, that's a tough one. Put it this way, right? I'm gonna. I hope you don't mind me doing this, but I'm gonna kind of rephrase that question a little bit. So if someone comes to me on the street, and they come to me on the street and say, "I don't know anything about stock market investing. Pick one stock for me to invest in right now." So 100%, something like a high risk stock that is unprofitable, I would not give to them right now. So that rules out anything like a Draftings, HIMS, or anything like that. So from that point of view, I would potentially then look at PayPal, Facebook, maybe not in mode because it's quite a small market cap stock. So yeah, I'd probably say potentially PayPal right now. I was kind of thinking about Boohoo potentially. Boohoo wouldn't be a bad one, but maybe PayPal. But yeah, obviously that's me rephrasing that question there. Obviously for me personally, yeah, one of my highest conviction stocks is DraftKings right now, and that's what I would pick personally for me. We've got Gar joining us. Steve says, "Do you think Square is still a good bet?" Being some comments on Discord about them being at risk from the likes of Apple. Yeah, the problem is Square has relied on Bitcoin a lot recently. What's Bitcoin done? Like a lot of growth stocks, it's massively, it's Bitcoin price hasn't done well, and that's obviously going to affect Square a little bit. But Square's business at the moment is still massively moving in the right direction. And it's got the payment side of it, it's got the business side of it, it's moving into the banking space, it's got the Cash App. So yeah, I mean, I don't think Apple at all. I mean, Apple hasn't really got anything relating to Square. It hasn't got a product that I'm aware of that's anything like the Cash App. It doesn't do anything similar with the way that it's supported by businesses. What Square does. So I think Square has nothing to worry about from Apple because they're nowhere near in their kind of line of business, I guess. I think PayPal would be a little bit more at risk from the likes of Apple potentially, but I wouldn't say Square. We'll let you off. Do I regret buying petroleum stocks? I don't own any at all, Gore. I've never owned any. Not a space that I'm interested in. Would you say UK stocks might have a better year than US stocks? Don't have many UK positions, but feel since it's local, safer to know how things are going here in the UK. I think they'll perform pretty similar. I think both growth stocks on the UK and US will, if they do well, they both do well. If they don't do well, they both won't do well. And I think if value stocks are still very popular, they'll do well in the UK and the US. And if they're not popular, they won't do well in the UK and US scene. So yeah, I wouldn't say it would make a huge difference if I was being honest, but I think it's always good to have some UK exposure. Companies that you do kind of know a bit more, probably use a bit more. It's not a bad thing really. So yeah, that's what I think on that one. Airbnb has a drop rate today. At what price would you be interested in getting some shares? Let me have a look. I didn't even realize it dropped a big amount. It's actually down 7% today, isn't it? Or 6%. Yeah, for me though, it's still very high. I mean, yeah. I'll be honest with you, Airbnb, in my opinion, would have to probably, you're talking nearly $100 for me to even get a little bit serious with it. So yeah, it's way off where I'd buy. That's the big problem. Opened the position in Boohoo again, had it at the last run and sold out. Oh, cool. It's a good move. Any views on Hagrid's Lawns down? Shares tumbled today, and most of us here use free trade or tradings too for buying shares. Yeah, I got a notification saying that the shares dropped a huge amount. I have no idea why. I'd probably suggest or think that it's because they're getting absolutely battered by free trading, trading too, like you said. And it's a dated platform. You know, no one should be paying £10 a trade, and stand by that. So I think it's a bit of a dead platform. And if that's the reason why it's dropped is because they're struggling, doesn't surprise me. Charles says, a bit more of a finance question. How do you manage and split? Oh, here we go. With your monthly income to ensure you deposit regular amounts into your investing account. Normally I just kind of pay off what bills I have that month, like straight away. And then I have whatever I've got left after that month, and I normally just keep a little bit on the side in case anything happens, and then the rest of it straight into the broker's account. Did you hear? I don't know if you know this, but he was playing on the weekend. Apparently, one of the players he was playing against was meowing in his ear while he was playing. Skills having a rough ride in my portfolio. You're not the only one. 65% down, and training portfolio 30%. Wow, 30% of the portfolio. Wow. Now it's a mental game and having confidence to hold. Yeah, I think it should be all right, but obviously it's a high risk stock. Obviously I think that's just a learning curve there. You know, a company like Skills do not make 13% of your portfolio. You know, 13% of your portfolio should be a company that is like your high conviction stocks, you know, with not too much risk. So yeah, I would just take that as a bit of a learning curve, and hopefully you can kind of get out of that okay, I guess, from that situation. A deep dive in Shopify would be ace to see. Yeah, I've not done a deep dive on. I have got one on the main channel. It's probably a few months old. So there is one on the channel somewhere, but I've not done one recently. I'll probably talk about the earnings on the next Patreon video at some point. Ryan says, Neo any more tempting yet? I don't even know what price it is right now. Is it like $30? Oh wow, it's $21. No way. Wow. Yeah. Not for me personally. Not one that I would invest in. I would always go Tesla over Neo. I wonder if you're still holding shares though. I know you've been in that Neo position for a very long time, so I'm sure you are because you're asking the question. I wonder if you're up on that position as well. So yeah. Neo. I'd still buy Tesla over Neo. But yeah. And I think we're caught up with all the questions. We are a little short of half an hour, so I'll give you 30 seconds if there's any more questions. And if there's not, I'll call it time there because we are a little bit earlier than normal. Normally it's me kind of saying we're out of time with a lot of questions kind of queued up. But today I'm ahead of the game here. So yeah. So yeah, I'll give you 30 seconds, and if you have any more questions, we'll call it time there. And but yeah, I can't believe how much Neo's down. It's absolutely crazy. Just shows you so many stocks have been just devastated in the last few months. Right, I think that is it. I have. Oh no, we had one question go through. Top three stocks to buy right now. I think you've got to look at Boohoo, 100%. For me personally, Draftings, and I mean in modes. If you haven't got in mode, I know so many people wanted to get into in mode over the last kind of like 1.5 years, and now we've got a bit of a dip in it. It's at a decent valuation, high growth profit. Maybe in mode could be the other one, I guess. But there's a lot I could put in there, but maybe I'll go for them three for sure. Where do I see Boohoo stock price in 6 months, 1 year, 2 years time? 6 months is way too short. I generally wouldn't have any idea. That's 50-50. 1 year is even still very much 50-50. 2 years time, I would hopefully see it recover a little bit. I mean, it's not guaranteed, but I would hope for a little bit of a recovery. Maybe by 2 years time, you would hope it's still grown, 20-30%. The logistic issues have calmed down. I would probably expect it to kind of be above at least £2. Hopefully kind of pushing back into that £3 range. Maybe even a bit more than that, really. No problem. Am I still a Beyond Meat believer? Yep. And it's the earnings on Thursday, and we'll probably get a bit more of a decent update. So yeah, no problem. I averaged down in pins a couple of weeks ago, and I potentially would buy more at some point. So yeah, it's just once again, it's just that there's so many opportunities out there that I can't buy the same stock constantly every week. So I have bought it recently, and I probably will carry on buying it at these prices for sure, 100%. Selling my kidney next. No problem. Right, we're caught up with questions again, so we'll call it time there, guys. And I hope you enjoyed it. We'll do another one sometime soon, and hopefully not leave it as long. And I'll do another video later this week, talk about some of the earnings from last week. Maybe I'll squeeze hymns in there because it is tonight anyway. So yeah, I think I just put a comment back here. Oh, nice. Oh, well played. Good stuff. Right, I'll catch you in a bit, guys.